Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start by giving all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Arachak Wadash, double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the tabernacle of David, the hopeful elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Another day, another adventure of small hat mischief. But you're going to tell me that these are the Lord's people, right? But it's beautiful because, these things have to be fulfilled, in order for us to get out of here, for the deliverance to occur. And you're going to have nation rising up against nation, kingdom against kingdom. These are all the warnings that the Lord gave us, and we're witnessing them in real time. So, we're on the brink of we actually in New Year's Eve, and we already know that it's the tensions are gonna heighten even more going into 2026. We had a lot of series of conflicts between these nations. You had the Israel, Iran back and forth. Where they launched series of strikes against each other's nuclear facilities. And then they came to a ceasefire. America got involved. They even used some firepower, to send a message at Iran. And just recently, Satan Yahoo, he just had talks with Trump. And Trump basically tells Iran that if y'all continue to resume building your, nuclear facilities, we're going to strike you. We're going to come directly for you, and they okayed, they gave the green light to Satan Yahoo, which he's itching, to take down this regime because, they wanted to expand, their Greater Israel project. And they can't do that with Persia being in the way. As a major, entity over there that have their own sovereignty, that have, connections to trade routes. They have a solid military and navy, so on and so forth. So, right now, they're basically playing strategical games. By now, they're causing chaos, within Iran, through these different protests, and their sources are saying that the little hat government, they're sending agents, among them to actually provoke these protests, all right, in an attempt to disrupt the regime, all right. So I'm gonna play this news segment, and then we'll get to a few scriptures, but this definitely got their fingerprints on this. I'm talking about the small hat, because everywhere they go, man, it's just mischief. All right, everywhere they go, man, or any trace that they leave, it's always going to be some type of mischief, disturbances. It tells you that in Habakkuk about this devil, that he's neither a keeper at home, So let's listen.
High stakes drama. In fact, that is straight from the shadows of international spying network. Israel's Mossad spy agency just told a bold, direct call to the people of Iran. Yes, you heard that right. Mossad is publicly urging Iranian protesters to hit the streets. Go out into the streets together. The time has come. We are with you, the agency wrote in a post on its Farsi language X account. And this is according to Israel's army radio. And they didn't stop there. Mossad added.
And this is a classic strategy to get your own civilians or citizens to rebel against you. And this is exactly what they'll do you know, a message to, the president, the leader, that we're gonna come in there, all right, because they need to, throw a distraction, so that they can make their moves, all right, because Iran, they have their own intelligence, to know about what the Israelis are doing and vice versa. America got, mountain retreats and, different hidden areas where they actually have surveillance technology and secret intelligence that gets information on the Iranians and what they're doing. So, this is all part of the warfare, so cause distraction and, send people there to cause a disruption and start protesting and cause basically a rebellion. And then once the media picks it up, they can say, see, look, the leader, the president, the prime minister, or whoever, he's not a good leader. Look, he's starving the people. The people are not happy. We're going to have to do something about it. Just like this man is evil, man. The thief cometh not before to steal and kill and destroy. They struck Nigeria under the guise of ISIS, attacking Christians. But since when on this earth, at any given point, did this devil ever care about not only Africans in general, whether they Jake or Ham, but Jake Christians? People are reading between the lines. They're not buying it. All right. And, you did that so that you can get some type of footing and posture over there in Africa, because you see there's already enough Chinese boots and Russian boots over in Africa, because y'all trying to get resources for energy purposes. All right. For this growing AI technology, all the resources that you need is all over there. So y'all gonna start fighting proxies, and you're gonna, corroborate some type of narratives to, get your feet on the soil over there. You in the media, you playing hero, but to everybody that knows how you get down, we know why you're over there. Okay. So, Iran is in the way. All right. They need the trade routes. They need the oil. They need the resources. So this is why this is one of the last regimes that they want to topple. All right. And they've been talking about this for decades. And here we are. So this is where it all, starts. But let's keep going.
That not just from a distance or through words, we're also with you on the ground. Now, let me tell you what really is happening here. You're watching Times XP. My name is Dhriti Atri. Well, protests erupted on Sunday in Tehran. Starting with shopkeepers frustrated over skyrocketing prices and crashing economy. The Iranian rial, it has tanked against the US dollars. Imports are now much, much more expensive. Retail traders are struggling, and it's not just shopkeepers. Students and young people have joined the demonstration as well, spreading the movement to cities across Iran here.
And that's a classic strategy. When you wanted to disrupt a regime, this is exactly what you do. All right, now let me get a quick scripture, because Esau knows how to do that best, because he's a sinful man. Let me get Sirach 28. Yeah, Sirach 28. And I'll start at verse 8. The point is at verse 9. And this is what they've managed to do, for a while. That's why places like North Korea and South Korea are divided. It's why Taiwan and China, all these different lands that, they were once, allies and they were together, then Esau got involved and they became split and now they're enemies. Okay. It says, Sirach 28:8, it says, abstain from strife and thou shalt diminish thy sins, for a furious man will kindle strife. And BB, he's furious. He every day he just wants bloodshed, war. Right? It says, a sinful man disquieted friends and maketh debate among them that be at peace. They want to destroy solidarity and sow discord. And, once that happens, then, you can, try to take advantage. Okay. So, that's the strategy that they're going with. And not that I'm trying to defend the Iranians, because I'm just, using this as an example to show you why the prophecy in Obadiah says what it says. Thou art small among the heathen and thou art greatly despised. It's the tactics, the actions, their every move is very antagonizing to, basically the world. The world is getting fed up. Okay. There's just too much bloodshed and war, protests, violence connected to these people. So eventually, they're going to come to that conclusion, But let me get another one. Let's go to Proverbs 6. And, we know Persia is going to play a pivotal role because, when we always go to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, it tells you that Gog, which is Russia, they have to be a guard unto him. So if, this recent talks that Satan Yahoo had with Nero, you better believe that it's about to be on for 2026. They're going to basically resume what they started this past summer. All right, and they can get, this can be worse than it was. And, oil is going to continue to go up. The de-dollarization is going to continue. So it's going to get bad for everybody involved. Okay. Proverbs 6:16, it says, these 6 things doeth the Lord hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and they lie, through their media every day. Every day is just straight up lies, propaganda. All right. To justify their every moves. It says, and hands that shed innocent blood, like what they've done in Gaza, for the past going on shit. Actually, is now over 2 years now. Okay. And it's looking like the hammer of the earth is going to do the same in Venezuela, but Venezuela, they're not going to lay down. They've been given, some tippers and some aid from China. Okay. And China and Russia been sending the West a warning as well about Venezuela, but they don't care. Their eyes are narrowed, laser focused on that oil down there. So they're going to be willing to do whatever it takes, even if, innocent blood has to shed. Okay. Still striking boats. They don't care if, who's driving the boat. They just going to strike it. They fired on a port in Venezuela. So yeah, it's finna start, getting hot. Okay. It says, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, plans, plots, devices. And that's what they do every day on their beds. And it tells you that in Micah, the 2nd chapter, woe to them that work evil upon their beds, and plot iniquity. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. So this is what they do. It says, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. And he's a master at that. Okay. He sows discord amongst the tribes. That's why the tribes don't get along. Still, even though, you have a gathering of the elect, That's the only way the tribes are really going to come together is the elect coming back and returning from all the tribes. But the rest of our people, they're still in uh, conflict because they bought into the damn serpent and his lies. They tried to do that with this immigration thing. You see? So he's a master at sowing discord as well, man. This man is just all around the devil, man. But you still got wicked Israelites that want to save him, though. They still, in their futile efforts, to try to save this man. Okay? So anyway, I'm gonna play a little more of this. So, and after she gets through this point, she's gonna show you. She's gonna bring up how this is all suspicious. How this is all beginning to happen right after the talks that Satan Yahoo had with Trump. The timing of it all is very suspicious, and this is what she's getting at. Let me play it.
But the timing of Mossad's message, that is extremely critical. It comes right after a meeting between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President Donald Trump, during which Trump warned Iran of fresh strikes if it tried to rebuild nuclear or any sort of ballistic missile program. Do you remember the tensions earlier this year? Well, Iran and Israel fought a 12-day war. Israel targeted Iranian nuclear facilities and even residential areas, aiming to halt the atomic research and missile capabilities here. Iran fired drones and missiles back at Israel. In fact, the US, they briefly joined Israel in targeting Iranian nuclear sites before a ceasefire was declared. Iran and Israel, enemies with a long history, right? Now the world knows about it.
And this is why, as long as these devils are at the top, still in power, there will not be any peace anywhere in the earth. All right, it tells you that in Proverbs 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. So yeah, you're gonna see these uproars of the people. Okay, whether it's people are displeased with their regimes or their governments, or even if Esau is actually causing these uproars. Either way, this is prophecy, man. 2 Ezra 9 and 1, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, which we had a series of those this year, a lot of them, and uproars of the people in the world. And that's what we've been seeing, all across the globe. Generation Z, man, they're gonna be the ones that set it off, man. You saw a lot of that, this past year, all over the place. But Esau has a way of using agent provocateurs, to cause and start, a lot of these violent protests and clashes. Here in the States, we already be knowing what time it is, because they'll fund some of these people to, cause these disturbances. They'll pay them, give them money. And so I wouldn't be surprised if, they're using the advantage of, the value of the Iranian currency, which is causing financial hardship. So they're going to use that against them and then give these people some money so that they can go out there and start rallying and causing an uproar. Either way, this all has to happen. All right. It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the earth, it's like it has made in the world, have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Yeah, so all these things are happening to indicate that we're at the end. All right, but we're not at the end. That's good. Let's go to Yahushai. And I'm about to put up another countdown to the third woe, because this, a lot is beginning to happen. Matthew 24, verse 6, it says, "And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom." Pakistan, India, China, Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran, and now America, Venezuela. And there shall be famines and it's like your famines and pestilences. And I'm about to do a video on that as well. So many different viruses and diseases that's going around simultaneously. So shit is getting more deadly. And earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So we got to continue to keep our eyes open, all right, and watch, get into these news articles, watch these different news outlet platforms that are, unbiased, because mainstream media is going to be biased. They're only going to, give you one-sided information. So, Lord willing, 2026, starts with a blast. It seems like every year it does that, but each year it continues to outdo the last because, the scriptures compare these times to labor pains where, the growing contractions, they get worse and worse. The pain gets more and more severe. So that's how the plagues and all the different things that we see occurring is going to continue to increase. But we're definitely here, man. So continue to watch as well as pray and keep your eyes open. Keep your head on a swivel. All right. Be alert. So-called New Year's tonight, try to avoid being out where there's a lot of activity, Really, I would say to just, stay put at home. All right. It's anything can happen, and we know that these devils are always up to something. So, Lord willing, y'all were edified. I'm gonna give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. To the next lesson, Shalom.